Credit freeze. If you're not new to my channel, you might have heard me talk about freezing your credit in a lot of my most recent videos because it's a very important financial tool. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what is a credit freeze, what are some of the reasons why you will want to do a credit freeze, and I'm also going to walk you through freezing your credit if you've never done so before. So let's get into it. My name is Starr Carter, and if this is your first time joining me, thank you so much. I hope you stick around and be a subscriber to this personal finance channel. Make sure you guys are cutting on your notifications, that way you never miss out on a video, and give this one a thumbs up, that way it get pushed out to more viewers that might need to see this kind of content. Thank you so much. Let's get into today's video. So what does it mean to freeze your credit? That's the first question that we got to go ahead and address. What does it mean when I say freeze your credit? So basically what a security freeze is, which that's the correct term for it, is a security freeze on your credit. Basically what that is it's going to block prospective creditors or lenders from accessing your credit profile, because lenders are not going to lend you any money or issue you a credit card or give you a loan of any type if they can't access your credit profile. So when you're freezing your credit profile, it's a way to keep creditors, lenders, or anybody else that might be trying to access your credit profile ability to do so. And freezing your credit or putting that security freeze on your credit is a strategic way of making the right financial moves with your credit. So I have 7 of those strategic ways of how using a credit freeze can benefit you, especially if you're on your rebuilding of your credit journey or building your credit journey, or if you're new to credit. It's one of those very, very, very important financial tools that everybody should be using, no matter what your age. So the number one top reason for me is it will prevent anybody from stealing your identity. And that is a big factor, because everything right now that's going on, there's so many different scams. Your information is so easy to be linked out on the dark web when you have companies like AT&T that have data breaches, and even Equifax had a data breach in 2017. So your information out here in these websites and different things, you just never know what the hackers are doing to try to get into those systems. So having your credit froze can prevent you from getting your identity stolen. And if you're not new to my channel, I talked about me almost having my identity stolen in 2020. Tried to open up accounts in my name at several different financial institutions, and I'm pretty sure they applied for credit. But because I always keep my credit reports frozen, all 3, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, they were not able to do any of those things. So it's so important, because if you ever experience identity theft or know somebody that has went through true identity theft, it is a nightmare to get all that cleaned up. So it can prevent identity theft. Number 2 is it protects against unauthorized access. So sometimes even if you already have an account with a lender or a bank or something like that, they may try to hard pull your credit for whatever reason. So keeping your credit frozen is another good way to make sure that nobody is authorized to access your credit without you being able to do it yourself. So that's another part of making sure that your identity is not stolen and that people are not getting access to your credit profile without your authorization. Number 3, you'll be taking control over what applications that you are actually applying for. So it kind of goes back to unauthorized use of your credit profile. When you have your credit frozen, nobody, absolutely nobody, can apply for new credit in your name without your consent, because you would have to unfreeze, you would have to lift that freeze off your credit in order for that application or that hard pull to even go through. So that's another, just a thick layer of protection that makes sure that you know what applications, what credit applications are being pulled on your credit. Number 4 is you will be minimizing your risk during major life events, like when there's natural disasters, when there is like you might be moving, divorce, all those type of things. Having a credit freeze would be ideal, because that's when a lot of fraud can take place, when there's a lot of, moving parts of different natural disasters or things that shake up your, personal world. That's when you definitely want to make sure that you have a credit freeze, because sometimes things can get chaotic out here. So you want to make sure that you have a credit freeze in place, because you just never know when things are going to go crazy out here, especially in the internet world. Number 5, it prevents you from doing impulse credit decisions. So basically what it is, it will keep you from applying for credit that you may not A, can afford, B, is not necessary, and C, will keep you from getting in debt that you don't necessarily need to get into. And what's an example of that? Say if you go into a Kohl's department store and they tell you that you can take off a certain amount of money today for your Kohl's purchase, like a 20% off if you get their Kohl's card or something like that. That's what I'm talking about on impulsive decision on your credit. So it can keep you from doing that, because you actually have to unfreeze your credit every time you apply for credit. So if you're in a line at Kohl's and you're trying to check out and you got a line behind you, nobody has time for you to go on your app and go to Equifax and TransUnion or Experian and unfreeze your credit so that that can go through. That's going to take a few minutes. So it's one of those things that's going to keep you from impulse decisions on your credit and taking out unnecessary credit that might could get you in financial trouble. Number 6, having a credit freeze is going to give you a peace of mind, knowing that if anything, if there's a data breach that's going on with some company that you deal with, like I was talking about with AT&T, even with the credit bureaus themselves, if your credit is frozen, nobody can get any credit in your name. So that's going to give you a complete peace of mind, knowing that you are protected, your credit is protected, and if you're working hard on building your credit or rebuilding your credit, you know how important it is to maintain everything that you are doing. So keeping that credit frozen is just going to give you that peace of mind and that layer of security and protection. And number 7 is, if you freeze your credit, it does not have any impact to your credit score. It's a free service that all 3 credit bureaus offer, and you can freeze your credit without worrying about it affecting your credit rating. And like I was saying before, it's a layer of peace of mind and security, letting you know that somebody else or out there in these internet streets cannot also do anything to impact your credit, because they cannot access your credit profile. So now that we talked about some of the reasons why you would want to have a credit freeze, let's walk through how to actually freeze your credit. If you've never done so before, it's very simple and it is free. So I had a commenter to say at my last video that I did a live on that Experian charges you to lock your credit. That's the difference between a lock and a freeze. A lock is what Experian is selling under their premium version of their app, where you can get your credit scores. But a freeze is free to all 3 credit bureaus. And actually, a lock is not even necessary. That's redundant, because if your credit is froze, you don't need a lock, okay? So that was just wanting to clear that up. So it is free for all 3 credit bureaus. So I'm going to pull it up on my screen right now. So let's get into it. Now, I'll tell you off the bat, because the credit bureaus are constantly updating and rearranging their website, the easiest way to get to the credit freeze for all 3 credit bureaus is just to search credit freeze in your web browser. So if we type in credit freeze in our Google search, the first things that's going to pop up is Equifax. Once you get past that sponsored part, you're going to see security freeze for Equifax. You're going to see the security freeze for TransUnion. And then right under there, you're going to see the security freeze for Experian. So you want to click on each one. So we're going to start with Equifax first. And see, it's going to say security freeze, place a security freeze, or manage a security freeze. So if you've never done this before, then you're going to place a security freeze. And what you're going to do is you're going to go in, as you can see on this screen. I already have a security freeze, so if I were to type in all this information, it'll probably tell me that I already have an account. And you can see up here where it says already have an account, sign in here. So what you want to do is, of course, you want to put in your name, you want to put in your date of birth, your social security number, your mobile number, you want to put in your address, city, state, and zip. And then once you get past that, making sure that you're not a robot, then you want to continue. And because I'm not going to be able to fill in that part of it, what you're doing right now, you're registering and you're creating an Equifax account. Now, once you get on that other side of that, it's going to ask you to verify information. So that means that you may have to actually prove that you are who you say you are, okay? So they may ask you some identifying information. They may even actually send you a text code to make sure that the phone number that you actually associated with this account is your number. So just make sure that you go through all of those security checkpoints, and then once they're done with all their verification, then you'll get a confirmation that your credit is now frozen. So we back here at the security freeze screen like we were just at. If you do have a security freeze, then you want to be able to manage it. After you have created a username and a password, then you will be able to go into your actual credit report and unfreeze your credit. So anytime you need to unfreeze your credit, you would just sign in to your credit report like I am about to right now. Of course, when you're in there, they're going to want to try to sell you something, but it's not necessary. So you could just say, no, keep my current membership, or unless you want to apply for their membership, it's not necessary, especially with Equifax providing the Vantage score. That's not a reliable score. So I would, advise against it. It's not necessary. So I say, no, keep my current membership. So then after that, it's going to show me what my credit score is and that kind of thing. And so right here, it's going to say manage credit report is frozen. So I'm going to click on that. And it's going to tell me I can manage my freeze right here. And so what I want to do is I want to temporarily lift my security freeze. I never want to permanently remove it, because that means I no longer want it unfroze. So I just want to do a temporary lift. So I can go in right here when I click on that and put the date range of when I want my credit to be unfrozen. Okay, so that's all you have to do. Once you put in the date range, say you want to the day is the 31st, so say you want to put from the 31st to Friday the 2nd. Say you got something going on and you're going to be doing some applications or whatever, or you might be car shopping over the weekend or whatever it is. You want to make sure that you put enough date range in for you to be able to do everything it is that you need to do to make sure that your credit is lifted. But that's all you would need to do. Whatever date that you set for it to stop, that's when it's going to actually stop, and the freeze will automatically go back on your credit without you doing anything, and you don't have to do anything. I'm not going to hit continue because I don't want it to lift my credit, because I'm not going to be applying for anything. So I'm just going to hit the back button. But that's all you would need to do on that. Now we looked at Equifax, let's look at TransUnion. So you'll go on TransUnion, same thing, and you're already at the credit freeze part of their website. So same thing, if you never had a freeze, you want to add a freeze. If you want to unfreeze, if you already have a login, same thing, you would just unfreeze it, same process. So just go on add a freeze. And like I said, if you don't already have an account with them, you're going to have to set up one. So it's like it says right here, tell us about yourself. So you're going to put in all your information. Same thing you did over with Equifax. And they're going to be verifying who you are. So they're going to verify your identity after you create an account. Same thing with Equifax. Okay, so this is all the same type of information. All right, so I don't want you to think that this is difficult. You're just going to have to fill in all this information if you never have. Now, if you do already have an account, all you have to do is unfreeze it, and you could do the same thing that you just did with Equifax. You put in your username and your password, and you're going to tell TransUnion how long do you want to unfreeze your credit. Also, they may ask you to identify yourself when you're coming in to unfreeze your credit. They may send you a code to your email or your cell phone, those type of things, but that's normal. So don't worry about that. You just need to go through your verification before you do your unfreeze. It may or may not do it. It just depends. But I just wanted to make sure that you know that that could be a possibility. But once you have a username and a password, you will be able to go in to unfreeze your credit whenever you need to, and for whatever date range you want to unfreeze it. So let's go back again and let's go to Experian. So same thing with Experian. Manage your freeze for free or already have an account. So you can create a free account in order to have a freeze for your credit you set up. So you can do that from here, or at this very top right here, it says manage your freeze for free, get started. You can click on that as well. and that's going to take you to get you started with creating your security freeze. And again, if you don't have an account, you're just going to have to go through the process of setting up accounts. So if I was to put any information in right now, it already knows that I have an Experian account. I actually paid for the premium version of Experian, so it's going to actually link me back, so it wouldn't work with me putting my information in right now. But all you would need to do is create an account in order for you to do the freeze. Same thing. If you're not sure how to get back to unfreeze your credit, search credit freeze in your search engine, and that will take you to all three of these pages whenever you need to unfreeze. And all you would need to do is put in a date range of how long you need your credit to be unfrozen, and it will freeze them back automatically. Once you create these passwords, make sure that you are putting your username and your password somewhere safe for all three of these credit bureaus, because once you create these, you do not want to be doing a forgot password and stuff like that, because this is your credit profile, right? So you want to make sure that you're keeping your username and your password somewhere safe that nobody else can get to it, and that you want to keep this information to yourself, because anybody, if they know what your username is, all they got to do is a forgot password, and if they got access to your email or to your phone, they can always get access into your credit profile. So you want to make sure that you keep this username and password for all three of these credit bureaus safe. Also, you can use these username and password to dispute anything, any errors also within these three credit bureaus. So these username and password can be used for so many different things other than just freezing your credit. So you want to make sure you keep these somewhere safe. And if you have younger kids, especially your teenagers, and it doesn't really matter, parents, you can freeze your kids' credit profiles as well, because especially with people getting CPNs, those are those credit profile numbers or whatever that they're using now to mask their own social security number because they done jacked it up. They are using babies and older people's social security numbers because nobody's using those numbers right now. Okay, so if you're a baby or if you're a young child, your social security number is probably not being used. Or if you're an older person, a lot of times you already have what you want. You already bought a home, a car, or whatever, so you're probably not actively using your credit. So that's how a lot of people's identity gets stole, because they're no longer using credit, or they're young and haven't even begun to use their credit. So you want to go ahead and freeze those types of credit reports, especially because those are the ones where identity theft can really slide up under the radar. And a lot of people don't realize their identity is stolen until they go trying to apply for things. When your baby turns 18 and they try to go and apply for their first apartment or whatever it is, that's when they realize their identity has been stolen from back years ago because something was in their name. So you want to go ahead and freeze those credit reports as their guardian. And if you have an elderly person, your grandma, aunties or whatever, that may not know how to go on these computers and know how to do that, set these things up for them just to give them a layer of protection as well. I have gotten a lot of questions in the comments about security freezes, as I was saying in some of my other videos. So I hope this video clears it up and brings some clarity around this topic, and I hope it teaches you how to actually do the freezes yourself. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments, and I will be glad to answer any of your questions or concerns. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video, and I hope you check out these two videos next.